Well, it happened. It actually happened. CM Punk yesterday was fired by AEW. So, I actually saw it. Funnily enough, I actually saw it through a Bleacher Report. They sent me a notification because that's how I watch the AEW pay per views and stuff. So I have the app and it sends notifications. That's where I saw that. But then also, my friend Steve sent me a post confirming I follow him at Plax TV over on YouTube. But yeah, so not gonna lie, this is something that I kind of have had in the back of my mind for a time, like a little while, but I didn't think Tony Khan would actually do it. And his firing has sparked some debate among people as to whether or not it was the right decision. And some people agree with it, some people disagree with it. It's kind of like split down the middle. So I figured I'd probably jump in and put in my 2 cents. Now, admittedly, I don't know the full context of the situation. I still have to read into most of it. I was aware, for the most part, of the issue between him and Jack Perry at all. And the only reason I didn't comment on it then was because I kind of wanted to wait it out and see what the full story would be like, if the full story would reach a conclusion, what the results of the investigation would be into what happened, and by the time that murmurs about it happened at All Out, not All Out, but All In, which I guess we'll address All Out later on because interesting situation there. But I'm guessing, uh, uh, I'm guessing that by the time that there were murmurs of it happening at All In, and a lot of people probably like me wanted to wait and see what the full story would be, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Like, they were just kind of, I knew something had happened, but I didn't really know what. Even by the time I filmed my review about All In, which if you haven't already, go check out that review. But yeah, so I guess this is what the investigation entailed was CM Punk terminated by AEW, who fired by AEW, that is, yeah. So let's talk about it. So I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't hate CM Punk. I don't even dislike CM Punk. I'm been a fan of CM Punk. Always been a fan of CM Punk, especially in his days in WWE. Partially one of the reasons why I bought this a while ago. This sweater, which I'm probably still gonna wear because it's gonna be cold and stuff now as the fall's approaching. But yeah, I like CM Punk, and for all intents and purposes, him coming back in 2021 on at least returning to wrestling, making his AEW debut was a big deal. A lot of people, by this point, CM Punk had been gone for about 7 years, and a lot of people were excited, and admittedly, I was too. Seeing CM Punk back in the wrestling sphere, the wrestling landscape, seeing him in AEW. CM Punk going to AEW was a big deal. It was a very big deal, but I think things just went downhill from there when it came to that, and it's probably not a coincidence that had some of the stuff that happened here somewhat mirror some of the stuff that happened in WWE. Obviously not every single thing, but a lot of the stuff that went down with CM Punk in AEW. But yeah, fan of CM Punk. I was excited about him, and honestly, I was a fan of CM Punk even before the pipe bomb promo. I feel like, and maybe this is my wrestling hot take, I feel like a lot of people, the pipe bomb is when a lot of these CM Punk fans came out of the woodwork. Or some were like fans of him the whole time, but I think after that is when people really started to care about CM Punk, which is unfortunate because CM Punk I always felt was pretty talented, always had a way with promos, and always knew how to captivate an audience. But I feel like that's when a lot of his fans came out of the woodwork was the infamous pipe bomb promo, which a decent amount of it still holds up to this day. Not everything from the promo does, admittedly, but a lot of stuff does. I feel like, and so when he came back to AEW, or came back to pro wrestling via AEW, who AEW being essentially the conduit for it, people were excited. People were definitely excited. They were amped. They were pumped. They were like, yes, CM Punk is back in pro wrestling. A lot of people were really happy to see it, and I was one of those people. Well, because this was a huge get for AEW. CM Punk, after having left, did excite a lot of people as to whether or not he would eventually be back in the pro wrestling sphere. And when he came back, people were happy, they were excited, they were pumped. Yes, CM Punk is back. And to see how things have turned out is pretty disappointing. And a lot of people, I feel like, have turned on CM Punk. They're not fans of his anymore. But why is that the case? Now, I will say, is CM Punk at fault for everything that happened to him in AEW? No. Definitely not the case. But I think a lot of it highlights one of the things that has followed CM Punk for quite some time throughout his career, and that's that he's not afraid to speak his mind. I think CM Punk is never afraid to speak his mind. He's always been, and very much tells it like it is, which it's on paper, honesty is a key, and CM Punk definitely is honest about a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I feel like it does get him into quite a bit of trouble, especially the way he says things and the way he goes about things at times. A lot of it can and oftentimes does get him into trouble, and realistically it probably shouldn't, because everyone should be entitled to their own opinion, but you may be free to have your own opinion, of course, but you're not free from consequences. And ultimately, a lot of CM Punk's words definitely had consequences. Is with him getting into all kinds of problems with Hangman Page, with the Elite, with Jack Perry. He just is just noticing a pattern with CM Punk being the source of a lot of his own problems. Unfortunately, he being very outspoken, that getting him into trouble. So let me know if I'm making any sense at all, or if I'm kind of rambling, which I'm probably gonna try my best to do both. A lot of it probably is gonna be rambling, but I'm also gonna try to prove my argument for the most part. But so CM Punk, a lot of times it can be his own worst enemy, and it's definitely evident by the fact that he's almost seemingly burned that bridge with WWE. Now, he tried to make amends a little while ago with like Triple H and the rest of the backstage roster, or right before Vince kicked him out. So CM Punk definitely burned that bridge, not just by walking out on them, but also bad mouthing them for years after the fact. Now, was he wrong about everything? Again, no. But that kind of bad mouthing and walking out on that, walking out, and you can kind of understand why some of his frustrations, but at the same time, for people like you and me who work like regular jobs and stuff, if we stop showing up to work, we're gonna be fired, whether or not it's our wedding day, whether or not it's our birthday or anything like that, or any special occasion to us. That's the fact that he was fired on his wedding day is kind of cold, but if we stop showing up to work if we stopped coming into work, we're gonna probably be fired. Or that's kind of just how it is, unfortunately. He even with our reasons, even with us walking out, how we're likely going to be fired. Now, granted, we may walk out knowing that we're probably going to be fired, and it's probably a way of saying, screw this job, I'm out of here. But we're probably going to be fired. And so, oh yeah, that happened, and then bad mouthing them after the fact, saying all like the negative things about them after the fact. Definitely burned that bridge to the point where people like Seth Rollins don't want him back. But also, you have to keep in mind any new company that he would go towards, or it's if you're applying to a new job, and the employer catches wind about you saying all kinds of bad stuff about your previous place of employment, even if that stuff is true, if it's like a pattern where every job that you left, every job that you got fired from, every job that you no longer work with, you have bad things to say about them, that's like after a while that stops being a reflection on the company that you worked for and being more a reflection on you. Now, granted, not every job is good, but that, in fact, I imagine probably a lot of them do kind of suck. But bad mouthing every single job you've been at always having something negative to say, hey, that's not always a good hook. Like, hey, will, and in a lot of the employers' minds, they may be like, will he say the same about us? And I feel like that's kind of the predicament CM Punk found himself in. But nevertheless, AEW saw that and took the risk anyway, and it was a big risk, but at first it paid off. A lot of people were happy to see CM Punk. Revenue was up, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he did do some good business and had some good feuds against people like Moxley and MJF. But with all the trouble CM Punk began causing, and all these like fights and stuff that he was getting into, all these issues being caused by CM Punk, he became a liability, unfortunately. And it doesn't matter how big you are, or even how big you think you are, or if you're doing a lot of good business and stuff. If you become a liability, that's a problem. That's something that has to be dealt with. And props for Tony Khan. He recognized this. He stood his ground. He had a board of people who make the decision whether or not CM Punk stays or goes. So it wasn't like completely on Tony Khan. And I think that's I think a lot of people are kind of like solely blaming Tony Khan. That Tony Khan after this just kicks CM Punk to the curb. Not really the case. He had a board of people, and it was unanimous, meaning everybody said CM Punk, he's got to go. So Tony Khan had to make that difficult decision in order to let CM Punk go, because becoming a liability is not a good thing. For example, at my job, like if I'm doing all kinds of good stuff, I always show up to work. I very rarely call in, stuff like that at my job. Because of that, I like to think I'm a decent employee, I would say. But if I came in and started causing all kinds of trouble, starting getting into all kinds of fights, then I'm going to be seen as a liability, and they're probably going to let me go. Now, I know that's not, especially with the job at work, that's not really a one-to-one example. So I can probably give a different example. Shawn Michaels, despite him doing all kinds of good business, in this day and age, Shawn probably would have been let go, which is unfortunate. His talent and everything, he was able to get away with it. But with all that, I'm surprised Shawn didn't get fired. I guess they really didn't want to let him go. Same with like Hogan and stuff. Although eventually Hogan was fired by WCW, and that's also the argument a lot of people are making, that because CM Punk is doing good business, they really shouldn't have let him go. He should have been able to stay on, and they're overreacting and stuff. Which I can almost see. I can almost see what they're coming from. But at the same time, like I said, him being involved in a lot of the fights, he didn't start all of them, but but he definitely was involved in all of them and all like the incidents and stuff. Having all these instances, having all these incidents and everything, and that is becoming a problem. That was becoming a problem, and to the point where this major event, All In, AEW All In, from the legendary Wembley Stadium, this legendary event that that AEW is putting but the issue that CM Punk had with Jack Perry, he almost overshadowed it, which is unfortunate because them selling out Wembley, or almost selling out Wembley. I don't know if they actually did sell it out. I don't think they did, but them doing all kinds of business in Wembley is a pretty big deal. Well, them being in Wembley is a big deal. Them having 81,000 plus people in Wembley is a big deal. Them going international, officially going international, is a big deal. I mean, they've been to Canada, obviously, but being in the UK for the first time, that's a big deal. And to have this almost overshadow it, and I know a lot of like the extreme WWE fans and who like they hate everything AEW. I've tried to downplay, say it's not a big deal, but speaking as a WWE fan, I'm actually a fan of both WWE and AEW, but speaking as a WWE fan, that's a big deal. It's definitely a huge deal for AEW, and the fact that it was almost overshadowed by this incident. Thankfully, it didn't completely overshadow it, but sadly, it almost did. And that's unfortunate. But stuff like that, and because of that, it's understandable why Tony Khan had to make the decision to let CM Punk go, and he did address it last night on Collision. And unfortunately, the only reason I didn't watch Collision was because Payback was on. Which, but either way, because I had to talk about this video today, because this was pressing, this couldn't wait. Plus there was a couple matches I have to rewatch from Payback because I was at work. I'll be coming out later on this week instead. So what I'll do is tomorrow we have a different review that we're gonna review. Because that's an anniversary show, and considering what the date is tomorrow, you may or may not know what that show is. It's a pretty big one though, and because of that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that review tomorrow. Then we're going to do the Payback review on Tuesday, and then All Out on Wednesday. All Out is tonight, but we're gonna review it on Wednesday. But back to this situation, everything. So, because of all these factors, CM Punk, unfortunately, he became a liability, so they had to let him go, which is unfortunate to see him burning these bridges, not just with WWE, but now with AEW. Where is left to go for CM Punk? And of course, I'm not wishing bad on CM Punk. Hopefully, if he does still want to pursue wrestling, if he's done with the business, I imagine he probably would just step away. But if he wants to go somewhere else, I don't know if they'll completely reject him. But so burning bridges with two major wrestling companies is definitely not a good look. Now, a lot of people have been asking this question. And CM Punk being let go by AEW, does this spell doom for them? And to that I say probably not. The thing is, AEW is still doing a decent amount of business. It's setting records like they did for All In. They still got a lot of other stars currently in AEW, such as MJF and Jon Moxley, which a lot of people have said MJF, they fear that CM Punk and MJF will be gone. Honestly, I could be wrong, but I don't think MJF's going anywhere. But they still have those. They have plenty of new stars on the rise. They still have the deal with New Japan. So I don't think AEW is going to be in total dire straits. Will they take a hit? Likely, but I don't think it's going to be a complete dire straits for them. And as for CM Punk, we'll have to wait and see what's next for him. Now, a lot of people have been kind of theorizing that CM Punk might go to WWE. Do I think CM Punk will go to WWE. I'm unsure of that. Now, I'm not going to completely rule it out because thinking about it, there's a lot of people who people said would probably never either come to WWE or never return to WWE. Who wound up coming. Goldberg said he wouldn't work for Vince McMahon if he was the last person on Earth, and I am kind of paraphrasing that because there's a naughty word in there, but Goldberg ended up returning, and Sting didn't want to come to WWE. He eventually came to WWE. Scott Steiner hated them for years, had problems with Triple H for years, but still came back as part of the Legends deal. Him and his brother Rick and everything. So there's a possibility. He can't completely rule it out. One of the only people I can think of that has a problem with WWE and still hasn't come back is like Shane Douglas. But otherwise, I can't completely rule it out. Heck, even the Ultimate Warrior came back for a spell in '96. He held Vince McMahon up for money. But same with Jeff Jarrett. He sued. He didn't sue. He threatened. I think he threatened to like no show. Yeah, he threatened to no-show. Sable sued. She still came back. Brock Lesnar sued. He still came back. Justin Ventura sued and won and still came back. Had a point at SummerSlam '99. So, I say all that to say, I'm not going to completely rule out CM Punk coming back to WWE. But yeah, for now, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think he's going to be coming back to WWE anytime soon. He's probably not coming back to AEW anytime soon, if ever. But yeah, it's just unfortunate to see that CM Punk has gotten himself into trouble once again, and this time was the last straw. Now, a lot of people pointed out, why did Tony Khan support CM Punk before, but not afterwards? I imagine the board that Tony Khan appointed to make the decision likely had something to do with it. Then the fact that he got into another scandal, or not necessarily, I think scandal's too big a word for it, but got into another issue, this time with Jack Perry. Plus, I imagine, and also partially the result of the investigation. And I imagine with the investigation, CM Punk being fired is kind of our answer to that, and we'll have to wait and see what they do with Jack Perry if he gets fired as well. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are for now, and it sucks to see CM Punk essentially getting himself into trouble. Well, again, like I said, not everything was his fault, but I think a lot of it does have to do with his reaction to things. The fact that he couldn't let things slide. Now, there's certain things that you can't and shouldn't let slide, but some of these things, like, he probably could have let slide. Let's be honest. But yeah, that's kind of where we are for now. But I think that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe. Excuse me. Share it with your friends. Turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on the situation. And do you think CM Punk being let go was the right decision or the wrong decision? And I think it probably was the right decision given everything that happened, but I can't imagine it was easy for Tony Khan to do. But, excuse me, yeah, a lot of throat clear, I'm sorry. But, nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.